welcome to this week's Wild Story. I'm Grace with New Way Kids. Last week, we learned the parable of the sower. It was such a great story with all the seeds, and through that, we learned to trust God and spread the word. Yet this week, we have an even more wild story. There's a jailbreak from Paul and Silas in jail. And who helps them? You guessed it, God did. God helped Paul and Silas because they were patient and listened to God. So from Paul and Silas, we will learn to trust God and be patient. So make sure you stay tuned for this week's wild story, a yee-haw-worthy activity, and get ready for crazy, crazy crap. Then get up and dance to some songs.
Slapstick Theater, Paul and Silas. This is Paul, who told people about Jesus in lots of different places. One day, Paul was walking with his friend Silas.
Hey-yo!
They were being followed by a girl who was controlled by an evil spirit. Her owners used her to make money. After days and days of this happening, Paul got so annoyed that he turned around and told the evil spirit to leave her. So the girl was freed.
Woohoo!
But her owners got mad at Paul and Silas because they wouldn't make any money off of her anymore. And they had them thrown in jail. The jailer locked them up.
Oh, man!
Around midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing to God, and the other prisoners were listening. Suddenly, there was an earthquake, and the chains of all the prisoners fell off.
Oh, what just happened?
But Paul and Silas didn't leave, even though they could have. Several people decided to follow Jesus that night, including the jailer and his whole family. And the next morning, they were released from jail, and the city officials even apologized to them.
Sorry about that.
Paul and Silas encouraged the Christians in the town, and they continued on their mission to tell people about Jesus.
See ya!
Welcome to New Way's Weekly Challenge. Do you have the guts? This week's challenge is to make the biggest bubble palooza you can. Grab any bubbles you have, grab them from the dollar store or grab them from the kits. You can use one bubbles like this, or you can grab regular bubbles like this. Either one works well. See how big of bubbles you can make it? And if you have a dog like mine, he can try eat the bubbles as you do it, as I struggle to open this container of bubbles. Do anything you can, and remember, snap a picture and send it to newwayumc@gmail.com. See you next week for the weekly challenge.
For God
so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that anyone who believes in him will not die but have eternal life. But God did not send his Son to condemn the world, but through him will be saved.
And what's it from?
John 3:16 and 17.
See. Yay!
Hi everyone, I'm Grace Brown. I'm reporting from Greece. Here I have Paul and Silas, who just recently broke out of jail. So let's see how that went. How did you end up in jail first?
We were helping people, but they thought we were causing trouble. So they captured us, put us in jail.
Silas? How did they lock you up?
Alright, so basically, they just kind of yanked us around, they put some chains on our feet, and put us in these stocks, you know, the stocks, like, we looked a bit like that, and there's the guard, he just kept posted all day, and he was standing there the whole time. It's crazy.
That does sound crazy. So what were you doing in the cell?
We were singing and praying.
Why?
I mean, honestly, if you look at it, it's quite simple. We trusted in God, and we knew that He was going to help us eventually, even if it took a little time.
So what happened next?
There was a huge earthquake. Huge. The walls were shaking, and our chains broke off. The doors even flew open. It was a jailbreak. We were free. Huge.
So did you run out?
Well, honestly, no.
Well, why not?
We didn't want to worry the guard. He was scared.
Scared.
So what did you do instead?
Well, we told him the good news. He took us to his house and gave us bandages for to give us food.
Did the guard believe what you said?
He did. And he was baptized on the spot. Not only that, but even his whole house was baptized. They all trusted God.
Wow, what a story. So why did God even bother to break you out of jail?
Well, honestly, quite simply, because we believe in God and we trust in Him, we don't really complain, we don't chatter too much.
Nope.
So, it's like, we're just kind of patient all the time, and we just kept on rejoicing them.
Rejoicing.
Well, thank you, Paul and Silas. That was a great story.
Boy.
Welcome back again for craft time. This week we have in the Little Kid Craft a coloring page that they can color first, and then they can add their jail bars to the picture with Paul and Silas in it from our story. You just glue the popsicle sticks on and they become like they're in jail. And you can color them if you want, the popsicle sticks. Color the picture and you have the picture of Paul and Silas singing in jail. For the older kid craft, we're going to make handcuffs, like when they're in jail. So you have little strips of paper in your kit. I don't want to push them all the way down so I can take them off and explain it. But so you'll be wearing them like this with your cuffs. But you just take a piece of paper, the strip, and the first one you just make a loop. And you glue it or tape it together. And then the next one you would take it and loop it through and make another ring. So you can make them, I don't forget how many paper strips you have in there, but you can make them as long or as short as you want. And then the last two on the end, just make them so that you can slip your hands in them. And you've got cuffs. Okay, so have fun with that. And for our extension activity, we have what's called a lava lamp. It kind of reminded me of when the rocks and stuff fall from Paul and Silas's story. So what you do with this is that you fill it up most of the way with vegetable oil. And then you add just a little bit of water. See here at the bottom, the red part is how much water I added and how much vegetable oil is in it. So you can kind of see the ratio of how much to put in. So you put in the vegetable oil, add a little bit of water, and then some drops of food coloring. And then in your kit, you'll have the Alka-Seltzer tablets that you break into pieces, and then you just drop it in and watch what happens. It starts bubbling up like a lava lamp. And then when that piece is gone, you can drop in all the rest of your Alka-Seltzer tablet pieces until you're out and you've watched it bubble all the way up. Isn't that pretty cool? I chose like a pink-red color for food coloring, but you guys can choose whatever color you want. So have fun with that. Enjoy watching the bubbles come up and down, and I hope you have a good week. Bye! everyone. Welcome to my campfire sing-along. I'm going to teach you the motions first and then we'll do the song together. This song is called I'm Gonna Sing. So the first part, it goes, I'm gonna sing. When the Spirit says sing, and you say sing again. And then it says, obey the Spirit of the Lord. And then there's another verse that says, I'm going to shout. So you say, I'm going to shout when the Spirit says shout. And then you do that a couple times. Obey the Spirit of the Lord. And then the last one is, I'm going to pray when the Spirit says pray. And obey the Spirit of the Lord. All right? So we got sing, shout, and pray. And then obey the Spirit of the Lord. All right? Come join me now as we sing our song together.
I listened. Praise to the Lord.
Remember to sing nice and loud so we can hear you. And do the motions together with us.
Psalm 101 and 2.
I'm gonna sing when the Spirit says sing. I'm gonna sing when the Spirit says sing. I'm gonna sing when the Spirit says sing. And obey the Spirit of the Lord. I'm gonna shout when the Spirit says shout. I'm gonna shout when the Spirit says shout. I'm gonna shout when the Spirit says shout. And obey the Spirit of the Lord. The last one.
I'm gonna pray when the
Spirit says pray. I'm gonna pray when the Spirit says pray. I'm gonna pray when the Spirit says pray. And obey the Spirit of the Lord.
That's fingers.
Okay, we're doing it again. Pray when the Spirit says pray. I'm going to shout when the Spirit says shout. I'm going to sing when the Spirit says sing. And obey the Spirit of the Lord. Thanks, everyone.
Check. Check 1, 2. Whoa! We wait in hope.
We wait in hope for the Lord. He is our help and our shield.
In Him, our hearts.
In Him our hearts rejoice. We trust in His holy name.
We wait in hope.
We wait in hope for the Lord. He is our help and our shield.
In Him, our hearts.
In Him our hearts rejoice. We trust in His holy name. Paul and Silas, stuck in prison, raising their hands, praising Jesus. Paul and Silas, they're in prison, raising their hands, praising Jesus. The earth shook, the shackles fell, doors were opened, and they yelled. The earth shook, the shackles fell, doors were opened, and they yelled.
We wait in hope.
We wait in hope for the Lord. He is our help and our shield.
In Him, our hearts.
In Him our hearts rejoice. We trust in His holy name. So when I'm scared, don't know what to do, I'll remember Jesus is the one who gets me through. So when I'm scared, don't know what to do, I'll remember Jesus is the one who gets me through. So when I'm scared, don't know what to do, I'll remember Jesus is the one who gets me through. So when I'm scared, don't know what to do, I'll remember Jesus is the one who gets me through.
We wait in hope.
We wait in hope for the Lord. He is our help and our shield.
In Him, our hearts.
In Him our hearts rejoice. We trust in His holy name.
Paul and Silas were having a bad day. They had been trying to help people learn about God's love and ended up being put in jail. Instead of being sad or upset, they decided to be patient and sing praise to worship God. They continued to do the right thing and trust God when the jails opened because of the earthquake. They told the guard and his family about God. The story teaches us to be wild like Paul and Silas and to trust God and be patient.
Whoa, what a thrilling story. I can't wait to see how much fun you have this week with playing with some bubbles. Now there was a jailbreak today, and we saw to have a jailbreak, Paul and Silas need to be patient and to trust God. This week was wild, full of wild things too. But what's not wild is to trust God and be patient. So long, partners, and we'll see you next week here at The Wild Story.
Yeehaw!